Hi everybody, it's Christina from Card Making Magic. Today we're going to deal with the reds from Spectrum Noir. And they come in 6 pen sets and each will give you a different look. If you look at the numbers on the end of the pens, they will give you a different shade to the reds. So the ones that we're going to use today are the dark red 1, dark red 5 and dark red 7. Now the image that I've printed off is from the CD The Next Big Thing by Just Inklined, and I've printed off 4 of the images onto a 160 GSM card, and I've printed this off in draft. Now when I first saw this image I thought it was a cabbage, and I said it was a bit uninspiring to put a cabbage on the front of a card. But nevertheless I went ahead and coloured it in as a cabbage, and then when I looked at it again I realised it was a rose, and so today I'm going to colour this in as a rose using the dark red sets of the Spectrum Noir pens. Now what I've done is I've cut one of the images away and I've left it big enough to go inside my Spellbinders die. And I've gone ahead and coloured the leaves in as we did with the Colour Class Greens video. And now I'm going to start on the rose. Now if you look at the actual image itself, you can see where the artist has put in the strokes, and they will indicate the shadow, and the shadow is lying underneath another petal. So I'm going to do this side, this rose first, and I'm going to go over it with the palest colour, which is DR1. So all I'm going to do is just flick the colour into the petals, and I'm just going to go all over the rose to the right hand side. Now if you notice I'm not scrubbing the colour in because it's a very rich red, and I don't want it to bleed outside the lines, so I'm just very carefully flicking the colour in. And when you're colouring with Spectrum Noirs, just take your time. It should be a pleasurable experience, not one that stresses you out. So I'm going to carry on and do the rest of this rose. So once I've done that, I'm going to go into the middle shade, which is dark red 5, and I'm just going to flick in some of the darker colour along those shaded lines and into the petals, and you can see the difference already in the shape of the petals. So this is where it would be dark under there and along there. I'm just going to carry on and put all the darker shade in, or the middle tone in, to the petals. Once I put that middle tone in, I'm going to blend the edges of that in with the lighter tone again. And again I'm just flicking in the colour to the petals. And that just gets rid of any harsh lines between those two colours. Now once we've done that, we're going to go in with the really dark red colour, the dark red 7, and I'm going to add in the really dark shade under each of the petals just to separate them completely. So look where the shadow would be and just add in the dark red. And you can see it's separating the petals now as I add in the colour. Now once the darker shade is in, you're going to blend that back out with dark red 5. So you're just going to flicking the colour again to the edges of the darkest shade that you've just put in. And then once you've done that, you're going to blend that dark red 5 back with dark red 1 back to the end of the petals. And that will separate your petals out completely for you. Then whatever you've done to this side, you're going to do to the other side, and then we'll come and work in the middle. So I've got each of the side roses done. I'm now going to work on the middle one, and again I'm going in with the palest colour first. Now the main reason I'm doing this is because reds are, you know, a little bit difficult to blend, and if you go in with your palest colour first, you are wetting all the paper or all your card to start with, and that will help you to blend in the colours a little bit easier than if you just leave it with the, if you start with the dark colours first. So I'm not going to do it all because I need to blend it in very carefully. So I'm just working on this part first, and I'm just going to colour the petals in. And then I'm going to start coming in with the middle tone. So I'm now coming in with the middle tone, and I'm just going to make the separation in the petals. So I'm just looking at the artist's impression of where the shadows and the folds in the petal would be, and I'm just adding in that middle tone. Then once I've done that, I'm going back to the dark red 1, and I'm just going to blend out the outer edges of that colour to get rid of any of the harsh lines. So I'm now just going to continue colouring in all the rest of the flower, and I'm using the lightest tone, the dark red 1, and I'm going around all the petals, and I'm just flicking in the colour. I don't want to flood it with too much red, so I'm just flicking in the colour in the centre rows. Okay, so I'm now going back to the dark red 5, and I'm going to add in the shadow just to separate the petals out. And the shadow would be where each petal overlaps the other one. The bottom petal, or the underlying petal, would have the shadow in it. Now going back to the dark red 1, I'm just going to blend out this line and make it nice and smooth. So I'm going from the colour that I've just added in all the way to the end of the petal. So now with dark red 7, we're going to look at the really dark areas in the flower, and the centre of the flower would be very dark. So just flick your colour into the centre of the flower and make it really dark, and then come around the edges where the shadows would be, and again just flick the lightest bit of colour into all the really dark areas on your flower. And that will give real definition to your petals. So now I'm going to blend in the really dark areas with dark red 5, and again just flick it not to the end of the petals, but just part the way onto the petals, and you're just blending out the dark red 7. And then once you've done that, you can take your dark red one and blend out that colour right the way to the end of the petals. Once you're happy with the blending on your rose, what you can do, because this is an excellent example of something that can be decoupaged, so what you can do is colour in the other three images on your sheet, and if you look at the areas that would be decoupaged, then this leaf in front and that leaf in front would be outstanding. So you can colour your leaves separately, then the group of roses can be coloured, and then the centre rose can be coloured, and all those elements are going to be cut out ready to decoupage onto the main image. So once I've cut out all my shapes from the coloured roses, I've cut the main one out from the oval. I've cut a scalloped mat to put that on, but before I glue these in place, I'm going to emboss it. So all I'm going to do is go over the image with my Versamark, and then sprinkle on my powder, and when you tip that off, all you're going to do is just heat that with your heat tool. So once you've heat embossed all your layers, you're ready to build up your decoupage topper, and you can use foam pads or silicone glue. You just give them a little bit of shape with your fingers, and you're going to build up the layers in the topper, adding in the extra little bits that you've cut out to decoupage and embossed, and they're just going to be added to your card. So there are the decoupaged layers. One's been glittered, one's been embossed. Just two different ideas for you to try, or you can just leave it plain if you wish. But we're now going to go ahead and make the card. So to make the card, I've stayed with the colours that I've used in the flowers. So we've used a wine colour and a green. I've matted up some white and wine coloured card together, and I've used the trellis from Spellbinders. I'm staying with the wine colour and the green in the ribbon, and that's going to go around this top layer before it's fastened onto the base layer. I've made a bow that's going to sit at the top, and I'm just going to add in a sentiment along there, and then I've coloured the dazzler with the same dark red pens, and that's going to sit in the middle of the bow. And then once that's all done, I'm just going to add in the beautiful bling from Want to Scrap. So there you have some finished cards, all on different themes and all coloured in using the red blends from Spectrum Noir.